Well, hey there, Michael Hyatt here. Welcome to the Email Domination Formula. Top hacks for taming your inbox with templates, batching, and time-saving shortcuts. And in this screencast, I'm going to pull back the curtain and I'm going to show you exactly how I process all my email in less than 30 minutes a day. And it's not because I'm smarter than you or less distracted. It's because I have a system. And in this screencast, I'm going to share with you the exact system I use in the hope that you can replicate it and finally get control of your inbox. Now, my system consists of 7 habits. Habit number 1, practice inbox zero. That should be your goal. You want to be able to go to sleep at night with every message processed, an empty inbox. Wouldn't that feel great? That doesn't mean you answer every message, but it does mean that you've processed every message. And there's a big difference, as I'll explain in a minute. Habit number 2, process email only at designated times. I only process email twice a day. I'm not living in my inbox. I don't have notifications turned on. I don't hear when new email arrives. I only load my email program and process email twice a day. Let me just show you from my task manager. I happen to use Nosby, and this is my list for today. But earlier this morning, I did a morning ritual, which is checked off, and I did a workday startup ritual. There were several subtasks. Empty my email inbox was the first one. And when I did that, I checked it off. It took me about 15 minutes, and I was done until later today. And I haven't done it yet because it's not the end of my workday. But when I complete my workday shutdown ritual, empty my email inbox is the first subtask on that list. So I'll do that in a little bit. But again, it's important for you to designate certain times each day when you're going to process email and stay out of your inbox except for those designated times. Habit number 3, work through your email quickly. Now look, the key to processing your email quickly is twofold. First, read every email once and only once. And 2, take immediate action on it. I want to explain the first one first. Read every email once and only once. Have you ever been caught in this loop where you read a message and you're not quite sure what to do with it, so you let it sit in your inbox? And then maybe you come back a few hours later, you read it again, and you're not quite prepared to deal with it, so you don't deal with it. Or maybe you let it sit there for days or weeks or months. I mean, I know people that have inboxes full of thousands of messages, many of which they've read, but they haven't taken action on it. So I want you to read it once and only once, and then take immediate action. And as it turns out, there are 5 and only 5 possible actions. I call these the 5 Ds. And I've got kind of a simulated inbox here because, in point of fact, I did clear out my inbox this morning. So I pulled some of these back out of the archive, some of which have already been dealt with, but I want to be able to demonstrate to you these 5 actions. So action number 1, delete. So this is a very real thing. You don't have to save every email message that you come across. They can be deleted. So for example, Nathan from CoSchedule. CoSchedule is a great service. It's one I use on my blog. This is just the email newsletter. I read through it and there's some things there that were helpful, but I'm not going to save it. So I'm going to delete it. Here's a Zoom notification. I've got a meeting with Brad Johnson, or I did earlier this afternoon, and this is a notification. And there's the link to the Zoom meeting, but that's done. So I'm going to delete that message as well. So that's the first action you can take, is to delete. Action number 2 is to deposit or file the message away in your archive. Now, I really believe in having a simple folder system. And if you look here under all mail for me, I've just got one folder for each account. That's it. Now, the reason I do that, and by the way, I used to have a system with a complex set of folders for clients and for projects for each of those clients and so forth. The problem is when you get a message from somebody that pertains to more than one topic, now you're faced with a decision. Do you file it with client A, subproject 2, or do you make copies of it and put it in each of the projects that it goes with? It just slows you down. It causes you to procrastinate, and you need to stay moving if you're going to do this quickly. So I put it all in my archive, and then I can just get back to it with a simple search. Let your computer do the heavy lifting. Search algorithms are very precise today, and I can get any message I want within a few seconds just using search. But here's a receipt from Huckberry for a product that I ordered from them, and I want to save that in case I need to refer to it later or in case I need to follow up if it wasn't shipped. But all I'm going to do is click on this archive button and boom, it's out of my inbox. So that's deposit. Action number 3 is to defer. I got this message from Joy Grobelby, one of my friends, who is the manager for Michelle Cachat. And Michelle is going to be starting a mastermind for women. And here, Joy, on her behalf, is asking me if I'll write an endorsement for Michelle. Well, I want to do this, but I can't do it in less than 2 minutes, which, by the way, is my rule. If I can do it in less than 2 minutes, I'll do it. But if I can't, then I'll defer it. So the way I'm going to defer this is I'm going to forward this to Nosby, my task manager, as I already showed you, and they give me my own proprietary email address. And if I forward it there, watch this. Then I go over to Nosby and I make sure that I've synced up, and bam, there it appears in my inbox. Now I'm going to reword this, like write an endorsement for Michelle, and I'll go ahead and fill in the other appropriate tags. But for now, I just want to get it out of my email inbox, and I've done that. In fact, let me just go back here and go up there. I'm going to need that in a minute. So now I can archive Joy's message because I have it in my task management system, and I'll queue it up later for when I want to write it, but I don't want to think about that now. I'm trying to get through my email inbox. So that's action number 3, defer. Action number 4 is to delegate. Now, here's a message from Lauren Brady, who works with my dear friend Ken Davis. They've got a conference coming up, the SCORE conference, and she's asking if I would tweet out some posts about the conference. They know that my audience loves their conference. I love their conference. I'm happy to do that. So I'm going to reply to her, and I've actually already done that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to delegate it to Madeline, who's my social media manager, and I'm going to say this: would you please queue up some posts about this? Thanks. Okay? And then I'm going to send it, and I'm done with it. Now, I've already replied to Lauren earlier today, so I'm not going to redo that in this simulation, but I'm going to go ahead and file that. Okay? So here's another one that I want to delegate. My friend Robert Hicks has a brand new novel out. He's asking if I can do some social media posts for this as well. And you know what? I'm going to help him out. So I'm going to go ahead and forward this. I actually replied to him earlier today as well. So 2 actions on this. But what I'm going to do now is once again forward this to Madeline. And I'm going to say, would you also queue up some posts for Robert? Thanks. Okay. And because I've already replied to him, I'm going to go ahead and archive that as well. So now I'm down to 3 messages. And that leads me to action number 5, which is do. These are the ones that I have to act on. And again, if I can act on these in 2 minutes or less, I'm going to just do them, get them out of my inbox. They'll never see the light of the day on my task manager because that's going to be more trouble than it's worth. So I'm just going to deal with these. So Beth McCord is one of our assistants, and she's asking me about a bicycle rack that she found. And I'm going to reply to her and say, let Gail and I discuss this. Thanks. Okay. And I can file that one too. And here's one from my son-in-law, Sean, who I'd invited him and my other sons-in-law to go on a fishing trip. And he's saying, sounds awesome. We haven't booked our plane tickets yet, but I should be able to make it. Fantastic. So I'm just going to say, awesome. And I'm going to also copy one of my assistants here who's booking this trip and taking charge of it. So I want him to know that Sean has confirmed. And so I'm going to send that one off too. Now, I want you to watch this one very carefully because Marcus, somebody I kind of know as an acquaintance, has said to me, "Hey, Michael, I'm going to be in town for Jeff Goins' Tribe Writers Conference. Any chance we could grab coffee? I think I'm now ready to start writing my book," which he had mentioned to me previously, "and I would love to get your input on that. All by," meaning coffee. Warmly, Marcus. Well, I want to reply to this, but the truth is, I don't have time to do this. And I get this request all the time, almost daily. Somebody asks if they can pick your brain. Normally, these don't make their way past my assistant. I'm going to explain that in just a minute. But because Marcus was an acquaintance, this one got through. But I've got a series of email templates that I use for these frequent requests. And here, I'm going to pick, can I pick your brain? Decline. Now watch this. This is going to actually take longer to explain than it would take in real life. But I'm going to fill in the variable fields that I've marked with brackets. And I'm going to say, "Marcus, thanks for reaching out to me. I'm sure I would enjoy meeting with you and discussing your new book. Unfortunately, in order to be faithful to my current commitments, I'm afraid I'll have to decline. However, I would like to point you to a few resources. I have numerous articles on publishing available on my site. You can find them all by using the search feature in the right-hand sidebar on my blog. The same goes for my podcast or my products. I have an online course that addresses book publishing in detail. It's called, some of you may have this, it's called Get Published. I'll just put that in italics. You can find it here. Now, here's what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a link, because if he was writing about something else, I'd do a different link. But here, I'm going to use something called Text Expander, which I'll explain more about in a minute, to give him the link. So it's just I have an abbreviation, and that gives me the URL, and bam, there it is. I also speak on this topic. I have a 1-hour speech entitled, "Why Now is the Best Time Ever to Get Published." Now, he's probably not interested in that, but maybe. So I said, I also have done half-day and full-day seminars. If you're interested in this option, you might want to start by checking out my speaking page. Thanks again for your interest. I hope this is helpful to you. Kind regards, Michael. Now, honestly, in real life, when I'm doing that, it makes it A, very easy to say no, B, very easy to do it graciously, and C, takes very, very little time. And so I'm going to send that off to Marcus, and I'm going to archive that message, and bam, inbox 0. That's what it looks like. Now, one of the things you notice there, and this really brings me to habit number 4, use email templates. And I've got a bunch of them. You can see down here for every possible or conceivable situation, I've got an email template. And here's the way I think about it. If I get that request frequently, or if I think I'm going to get the request, I kind of push the pause button and I write the email response thoughtfully, graciously, helpfully, and then I save it as a template. And in fact, if you've bought the Free to Focus Premium Edition, we're giving you an entire library of templates. And here's what it looks like. It's called the Ultimate Time-Saving Email Templates, the key to emptying your inbox fast. And this is an Evernote notebook. And you can see here a list of a table of contents. And you can just click on the templates you want. And you can copy and paste that into your email message. Or better yet, I really recommend that you take all these templates, and it takes a little bit of time, but not that much, and put them into your signatures using whatever email program you want to use, and then just drop that down. So it could be as simple as, here's somebody says, "What is your mailing address?" Or "I'd like to mail you a gift," and here's what you can say. There's a template for that. You can massage these, you can modify them, you can adapt them, but it'll give you a huge leg up and speed up your email processing like you can't imagine. So that's habit number 4, use email templates. Habit number 5 is to learn keyboard shortcuts. Now, All of your apps have basic shortcuts that are built into them. Here's the deal. The mouse will slow you down. You've got to wean yourself from the mouse by learning your application's shortcuts. Every time your hand comes off the keyboard, it takes a second or two. Doesn't sound like much, but when you add that up hundreds of times a day, it really does add to your processing time. And I would encourage you to start by learning the 14 most common shortcuts. You can see them all here. Don't worry about memorizing these or writing these all down right now, because we have a downloadable cheat sheet for you in the resources sidebar. And it also includes a blank template that you can use to create your own cheat sheets beyond the 14 most common. But basically, anytime you find yourself reaching for the mouse, ask yourself, can I create a keyboard shortcut, or can I learn a keyboard shortcut that will do this for me? So that's habit number 5, learn keyboard shortcuts. Habit number 6, use a text expansion app. Now, I happen to use one on the Mac that's called Text Expander. And what it does is it takes an abbreviation and it expands it as a text snippet. It could be a word, it could be a phrase, it could be a sentence, it could be an entire document, and it could even be a picture. But I use Text Expander. This one works on Mac, PCs, iOS, Android. It syncs across all your devices so that if you create an abbreviation in one program, you can use it in the others. Now I'm going to demonstrate this here in just a second. One that's also very popular for PC users is one called Active Words. The important thing is to get one you're comfortable with and invest a little bit of time. I know Text Expander has some fabulous tutorials, and it's worth an hour of your time to learn how to use it. But here's what it looks like. That's the Text Expander program. And on the left are these groups of various abbreviations. And I want to just show you some of these, and then I'm going to demonstrate them for you. Let me go back over to my email program first, and I'm going to open up an empty message so that I can demonstrate them right here. For example, addresses and phone numbers. You know, I don't have to type out my city every time. I can just do this abbreviation, which is semicolon, which is what I use to indicate that I'm beginning a Text Expander abbreviation. Or here's one for my home, or for my Main Street address, or my P.O. box. By the way, there's a block versus inline of the same thing. So in other words, if I'm writing a paragraph and just want to include it, I do it that way. Or if I want to do it as a block, I do it that way. But watch this. All I do, rather than typing out the entire address, I just type this abbreviation. And Text Expander inserts my address. Isn't that cool? Or here's one I use a lot. So here's our telephone number, our local telephone number for our business. And so rather than trying to remember that every time, because we got a ton of different phone numbers, I just type business. That's my business phone number. Isn't that cool? Okay, here's some other ones. I want to go down to common symbols. Like I love this one, shrug. And I just type, I actually use this more in Slack than anywhere else. But here's a few other ones. You know, there's all the Mac symbols, or there's like the copyright. Like if I needed a copyright symbol, I could just do it that way. Or if I wanted to use the registered trademark symbol, you can see that shortcut. I just type in R registered and it shows that one up. Or for some reason I wanted to use a heart, it would insert that. I don't have to try to figure out what keyboard combination or anything else. Text Expander is going to make that super simple. Here's another one, currency and math symbols. You ever have a need to type fractions and you can't remember what the keyboard combination is to get a proper fraction, which looks like this one down here? All I do is type that, and that's my abbreviation for that. Or how about this one? Or how about this one? So Text Expander is expanding those into the proper typographic fraction. Or dates and times. So sometimes I want to enter the long form of a date. So I might do this as an abbreviation and it expands to that. Or maybe I want to do just the one with numbers. So I go like that and it expands to that. So you see how simple this is, how easy it is? And in fact, by the way, if I need a keyboard abbreviation, and I can't remember what the abbreviation is. Text Expander has a universal shortcut key, which on the Mac is Control, Option, Command, Slash. And then I can just type in what I think that might be. Like, let me just do all my addresses. And there's all the abbreviations. And then I can just enter it in. So I go back down here again and enter that in. Pretty simple, huh? Okay, so messages. This is where you begin to see some of the power of this. Let's say that I've been away for a vacation and I'm responding to some email messages and there's been a delay. Instead of typing that every time, I could just go that abbreviation and that enters in 2 sentences. Or let's say that I'm writing some advertising copy and I don't have the copy written yet, but I need to turn it over to the designer. So I'm going to do some placeholder copy, and lorem ipsum is a common Latin block of text that a lot of designers use when they don't know what the exact copy is going to be. But again, I don't have to go hunt that down on the web or try to copy it from somewhere else. Here's a pretty cool one. This is a response to a negative Amazon review. So occasionally I get a negative review on Amazon about my book. And so here's what I say. And so this actually shouldn't be inserted. That would be the title of the book, but you get the idea. So this inserts, and I could use a template for this, but I've got a text expander one because I'm using this not as an email template, but I'm using it actually on the Amazon site. So those are messages. Miscellaneous snippets. So this one's pretty cool. To whom it may concern, and all I have to do is type, like if I'm typing to a support address and I don't know the person that I'm addressing, I just type to who, and it enters in to whom it may concern. And my cursor is even positioned for me to begin writing the email. Or here's some other examples. I have all my product and tool names. So instead of having to type the full title for 5 days to your best year ever, I can type the semicolon, 5 days full title, and there you go, including the trademark symbol at the end. So I have one of these for all my products, for all my tools, for things that I'm frequently referring to, but I'm too lazy to type. And you should be too lazy too, because it makes you faster. Or here's some proper names. Have you ever had names that are difficult to spell, like my friend Andrew Ferriccioli? I just type semicolon AF, Andrew Ferriccioli, and there's his full name. Same thing with doTERRA. A lot of my daughters are involved with this company. It's a multi-level company, and they've been very successful at it. But I can never remember quite how to do the spelling and the capitalization. So I just type semicolon DOT, and it replaces it with doTERRA. Okay, a few more examples. You could do signatures, like if you sign off kind regards or warm regards, website links and email addresses. This one's pretty cool. So for example, here's my public email address. So all I type here is semicolon EMP. I'll just demonstrate it here. And there's my email address. I also have got it so that it's spelled out. Like if I'm responding on Twitter or a social media context where I don't want the robots to scrape my address and add me to a spam list, I just will type semicolon EMSO. Again, that's not really in an email context, but a social media context. But also, all my social media URLs, I've got all those here so I can quickly go to them. My various products, the Get Noticed theme, I don't have to type the whole thing out. This is what I did earlier for Get Published, but you get the idea. But Text Expander is a brilliant, helpful tool. And whether you use it or some other program like it, I highly recommend that you develop some facility and knowledge with a text expansion program. So that leads us to habit number 7, set up 3 email accounts. Now, this is only going to work if you have an assistant, but hopefully you want to be more productive, so you have an assistant, an executive assistant. We have 3 accounts, and let me just explain what they are. First of all, I have a public account. This is the one I give out to people that are not my inner circle. These are the people really outside of my assistant and my family. This is where all my public messages go. This is also the account that Susie and Jim, my 2 assistants, manage. They are in here screening email, and they are dealing with 85 to 90% of the messages, and I never see them. In fact, I never have this account visible, except right now I'm demonstrating to you so that I can see it. But what they do is they have the public account visible and they have the private account visible, and they drag messages that I need to respond to from the public account to the private account, and they show up here in my private account. It works fantastic. Now, there are some people, though, that I want to get to, that I want to correspond with, that I don't really want to go through Susie or Jim. Like, for example, my accountant or my attorney or my financial advisor. So those messages, they have my confidential email address, and those messages go straight in here to my confidential account. So the only two that I'm really monitoring are confidential and private. Susie and Jim don't have access to confidential. The only two that they're really privy to are public and private. And so they're dragging from public to private, and I'm only looking at confidential and private. And that's why I went from 200 plus email messages a day to really on average about 20 a day now. Maybe not even that many, but it's a totally manageable load. So I hope this has been helpful. The main thing is to believe that you can get control of your email, and all it takes is the right system and the right habits. Hopefully, this screencast has given you both. But like all habits and all systems, they take time to become second nature. Here's what I can promise you for sure. If you stick with these 7 habits, they will transform how you think about and how you manage your email. Now, just imagine what it would be like to get to inbox 0 every day. Imagine how impressed your prospects, your clients, your colleagues, your friends would be when you respond in a timely manner with a thoughtful message. It's possible. And now you have what you need to do it. Thanks for watching.